welcome to the Toonstruck 2 Creepypasta.
Subtitled The Suffering of Genghis.
Ooh, yeah. Alright.
I know my marketing.
Since as long as Dave could remember, adventure games have always been one of his passions. He loved it when he prepared a mummy for a beauty contest in Day of the Tentacle. He journeyed through the worlds of Strata in Torrens Passage, and was really amazed by the number of items one could find in a snake's stomach in Curse of Monkey Island. However, his all-time favorite was Toonstruck.
Look, I had a fun game, but I have never met anyone who I would say...
This has already lost credibility for you?
Yeah, a little bit.
It was an insane world with crazy clowns, masochistic cows, a real-life actor who starred in Back to the Future, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
We can't name him by name just in case we get a copyright strike.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd's gonna complain.
Hey, no, this was crap. You can't use my likeness.
I don't endorse this. And tons of dirty jokes. However, there was one bad thing about it. The completely unsatisfying ending. It belonged to the to be continued category, but there was never a sequel. Years ago, he learned about a Toonstruck 2, which was almost finished, but sadly never got released. He even discovered some screenies. Oh, that's adorable.
Oh, so cute.
He discovered some screenies.
Oh,
it's a little furry creature.
Oh, look, I'm giving you some screenies.
Don't you feed the screenies. They'll get used to humans. And then we'll have to be shot by the park rangers.
That's the great thing about living in Canada. You get to hear these, great. More like...
those stories about animals being shot.
No, I misspoke. Oh, it makes me sad. Look, okay, here's a tip for anybody coming to Canada.
Fucking stay away from my animals.
Don't feed them.
God, okay.
I mean, unless it's someone's pet, like legit, then yeah, you should probably feed it.
It's my pet moose.
Oh, God.
But anyways... so he even discovered some screenies and video footage on the net, but was never able to find the actual game, neither on torrents nor on eBay.
Because it wasn't released.
One day, he was invited by a couple of his pals to a video game conference. To tell the truth, it was nothing special to him. Mostly action and 3D shooters, with the exception of some shady guys selling outdated console games. While Dave's pals were playing the new Call of Duty edition, he yawned constantly and looked at the clock, when suddenly he heard a voice calling him.
Luckily, Dave's not like those fucking normies.
Call of Duty, fucking losers.
I prefer the high art game of Toonstruck.
He turned around to see another shady guy. Perhaps the shadiest of them all.
Oh, wow.
This one was a tall man in a dark raincoat and a wide brim. His face covered by a scarf and glasses.
Dave, you're gonna get flashed.
Yeah, Dave, walk away.
Come on, man.
Everything, including his walking stick, seemed extremely old-fashioned, worn and tattered. What? This is some strange hobo who just wandered into the convention center.
Why is he wearing a raincoat indoors? Is it weird cosplay?
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah, it's just a cosplay. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So worn and tattered, as if it came from the beginning of the last century. However, compared to the children dressed up as Hulk or Spider-Man and some Duke Nukem cosplayers, he seemed to be almost the epitome of normality.
What? What? No, Hulk is normality at the convention.
I just wanted to offer you something.
Spooky.
His voice was low and raspy, as if he had been screaming for hours. What? Another NES game?
Dave, oh, wow.
Dave was way too bored to be bothered by politeness.
Oh my god.
No, something much better. Excuse me, I've been screaming for hours. As he put his hands inside his enormous raincoat and took it out, Dave saw a CD. Oh god.
Oh my god.
Dave saw a CD case.
Oh, alright.
Toonstruck 2. Have you heard about it? As excited as he was, Dave understood it could easily have been a fake. Fucking shit, Dave.
Oh my god, Dave, you... Okay, Dave.
The disc case was blank, without any images or letters. It could equally be a test copy from the burst office, just an empty CD or virtually anything else. Therefore, he asked, "How much for it?" The man seemed to smile under his scarf. "Just two..."
Wait, what?
He's like with the eyes, like the smize thing.
Oh, I get it. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Alright.
"Just $2, kid. $2 and..." "And what?" "Nothing. Just $2.
No, you go back and you make him answer.
Oh, God.
That's a good way to get your kidney stolen, Dave.
Dave suppressed an urge to scream out in excitement. Just $2? Even if it was a phony, there was nothing to lose. This guy surely didn't look like a retired Virgin employee. That was the company.
No, that makes sense. And
just
why would
clarify.
that make him more legit if he didn't look like it? Whatever.
Well, no, he didn't look like a retired. So I guess he just knows what all the Virgin employees look like.
Oh yeah, no, it makes sense. They have to get that tattoo on their face when they join.
Yeah,
yeah.
The big V in the center of the forehead.
Yeah.
The guy surely didn't look like a retired Virgin employee, so perhaps he bought the game from one of them. Or simply stole it.
Oh.
Okay, never mind. Even if it had been stolen from the company back in the late 1990s, nobody will ever learn about it.
Hell of a moral system you got there, Dave.
Stealing's okay as long as no one finds out.
Yeah. I mean, if no one knows, did you really commit a crime?
No, oh yeah, it's like philosophical.
Right?
Alright, it's a deal. As he stepped closer to the man, he noticed something he didn't before. A small badge on his raincoat. In stark contrast to his appearance, it was bright with a colored whirlwind, just like the ones painted on the Toonstruck discs.
Oh no, or yes?
And words, "Mr. Tambourine Man." Dave had wanted to laugh, but instead it scared him for some reason.
Okay, hold on, refresh my memory. Who was Mr. Tambourine Man?
I don't fucking know.
Alright.
Yeah.
Did he show up in the game?
I don't think so.
Hey.
I don't remember a Tambourine Man.
Alright. I didn't either. I don't know.
He was so impatient that he didn't wait for his friends and got home by taxi instead.
Wow, Dave!
Dave's a shitty person.
Yeah, jeez. As he looked down at his phone and saw 72 missed calls and a bunch of texts going, "Where are you? Are you dead?
Are you okay? What happened?
Were you abducted by that strange man in the raincoat?"
Yeah.
He got kicked out by security a little while ago, but I mean...
As he quickly took off his coat and sneakers, he launched his PC and put the disk inside. It's a good way to get a fucking virus. After a fairly usual installation program, unlike the first Toonstruck, it was adapted for modern systems and ran pretty smoothly on his Vista. The game started. The intro was identical to the first game, the same Virgin logo inside a human eye, etc., but the menu screen was completely different. It had a big map of the whole Toon world.
Oh my god.
And the music was The Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy by Tchaikovsky.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I can picture it in my brain.
Yeah. He squealed in delight and pressed start.
Oh my god, Dave.
It started with the exact cutscene that concluded the original game. As soon as Drew was sucked into the cartoon world, it continued with him waking up in Xanadu and recovering his bottomless bag.
Wait, it started with the exact same cutscene?
No, the cutscene at the end of the game.
Oh, right, yes,
Yeah.
okay. For some reason I saw it said the beginning of the game. Sorry, I got too deep into the lore.
Flux told him the situation over the communication device. Both Nefarious and Fluffy are still at large. Fluffy, disguised as King Hugh, is planning to conquer both the Toon and the real world by using Bric-a-Brac's creating device.
What?
The only chance of stopping them could be using Drew's own imagination, represented by the legendary Lighthouse of Creativity on a sky island.
Ah, the classic representation of creativity.
Mm-hmm. Drew could get there via the train of thought, right from the place where he was standing. and Flux would meet him somewhere up there.
I don't know. I think that's kind of alright.
Alright.
I mean, it's somewhat in line with the punny nature.
No, I was more laughing that Flux is like, yeah, I'll just meet you there.
Oh, well, fair enough. I mean, train rides are pretty boring.
However, Flux gave him a shadowy warning about the unfortunate implications and the kind of evil you've never encountered before. As he put it, even Nefarious and Fluffy are cuddly rabbits compared to this. Well, the latter actually is one. He gave a nervous chuckle, though he seemed to be much more serious than ever before.
Uh-oh, bad sign, bad sign.
After they finished the dialogue, Drew jumped on a multicolored train full of Toon characters, drove up into the sky, and finally arrived at the Crossroads location. It was really captivating at first. It was clear that the game took on a Psychonauts-type direction, exploring both the beautiful and the ugly sides of Drew's inner world.
Well, that sounds kind of fun, actually.
The middle path was the road to the lighthouse, but there was no way to get in. Drew needed 2 keys, the sweet key and the nasty key, which could be obtained in any order. Dave started with the first one, and chose the left path on the crossroads.
Is this actually Creepypasta, or is this just an outline for a fan game? Like, is this... I'm pretty sure.
You'll see.
Alright.
But this is one of the screenshots from Toonstruck 2.
Aww.
So yeah, he's kind of using the screenshots to dictate his creepypasta, as I guess he's...
I kind of respect that.
Yeah.
Good on you.
The cutscenes showed either Fluffy's or Nefarious's plans, with the latter once again sending his henchmen after Drew. After a while of gameplay, which included a duel with a Wild West cowboy, obtaining a sheriff's star, tricking the henchmen of Nefarious and stealing their prostheses, their shit, Lugnut's hearing aid and Feedback's mouthpiece, there was a meeting with Van Gogh, Drew's idol, which almost resulted in Drew becoming his model. However...
your eyes are so captivating. I must paint you.
Yes. However, Van Gogh was on the verge of hysterics because of his obvious hearing troubles. Drew solved the problem by giving him Lugnut's device, and in exchange, Van Gogh handed him the sweet key. It was sweet in the literal sense of the word, for it was a cake painted in the style of Van Gogh's Starry Night.
Just cram that in the keyhole. Just...
Oh, yeah, actually. It's like Play-Doh.
Yeah, it's great.
Kind of
I mean, if you're making a really dense cake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
At this point, Dave felt extremely exhausted, for he was already sitting behind the computer for several hours.
Several hours. Oh, better go take a nap.
For fucking ever.
Jeez. Look, when you do computer work for a living, Dave, come on, get some endurance, man.
However, his curiosity got the best of him, and he went on to explore the right path on the crossroads. It seemed even cooler than the good part of the island, since it included a lot of horror movie spoofs.
Nice.
However, the spoofs got more and more serious as he proceeded.
Uh-oh.
One scene had Drew sitting in the evil dentist's chair, and if he didn't react quickly enough, this ended in a quite gruesome Sierra-style death screen.
Wait. Look, are they gruesome? I guess some of them are gruesome. I guess right now I'm just thinking of that scene in Laura Bow when her bell fell on her head and she just was a bell with legs.
Some of them are more comical for sure. This surely didn't help that it was accompanied by Heinrich Kuznak's Tango d'Amore.
I don't know how that one goes, actually.
I don't know.
Another
was a room full of dummies that all looked a bit similar to Spike. When Drew went to the corner of the room, they began to whisper behind his back. Eventually, Drew found himself in a place called Tooniverse Club. There were zombie bunnies and other monsters, with the bartender, BB Wolf himself, in appropriate attire.
How do you dress appropriately for a zombie or a monster club?
I think he was just probably in his normal suit, which is appropriate attire for a club.
But why would you mention it then?
Because he likes to look good, and it should be appreciated.
You're right, I'm sorry.
God.
Yeah. You be you, BB Wolf. You just shine your crazy shine.
You crazy diamond, you.
Yeah.
Yes, BB Wolf himself, in appropriate attire, standing behind the counter, pouring cocktails of a suspiciously red hue. It was certainly neither Chablis nor the prune wine. Dave clicked on a chair to sit down. Good evening, Mr. Blanc. We haven't seen each other since that party of mine. Quite a remarkable coincidence, isn't it?
Oh man, your Jim Cummings is just...
Yeah, I try. The wolf greeted him. Suddenly, a nearby customer turned to Drew, and Dave saw that it was Fluffy in an evening dress.
What?
Holding a piece of cotton candy of the same cardinal tint.
Didn't we kind of defeat her?
No, not really. A close-up shot of Drew's face showed that he was just as shocked as was the player.
Oh my god, Fluffy Bunny showed up in a Toonstruck game. Oh, shocking.
Maybe he's mostly shocked because she's holding a piece of cotton candy and she hates cotton candy.
Oh my god, no!
You know, I gotta point out too, BB's line was terrible because he didn't fuck up any of those words.
You're right.
Bullshit.
Oh my god.
My immersion.
Ah.
Hi, Drew, she chirped.
Oh, that was alright. Alright, do your Christopher Lloyd.
Oh god. I can't. I know I sound like an old man. What the hell is happening? I can't fucking do that. Oh my god.
Amazing. It's like Christopher Lloyd got punched
he's right here.
Yeah, just, oh man. It's like I'm there.
Marty! What the hell is happening? He screamed. I think it's time to tell you something, the rabbit replied in her usual cheerful voice. Then do it! And Drew yelled. Drew's flipping out.
Yeah, jeez.
You've been on the wrong side all day, Drew. With your talent, you've opened up a portal to this world, and we all used it to invade the real world. After our first plan failed, we had to lure you into the Toon World once more. All these rabbits are really anything but rabbits.
What are they?
It sounds like Batman.
Okay. Where's Scarecrow? Where is it? Oh, where is it?
This won't mean anything to you, but in fact they're Shoggoths.
Oh my god, really?
This is the sort of thing humans are not meant to know. Even farmer humans.
Oh my god.
But what about Nefarious and his henchmen?
That was alright.
I'm getting there. Slowly, I'm getting there.
It's alright.
They never actually existed. We had to come up with an excuse for why you would help us. We can shapeshift. Remember it. Ha ha ha!
Wait, so the game is full of Shoggoths?
Yeah, they can shapeshift. They're all the, yeah.
Good, okay. I mean, it makes so much sense. Yeah.
Suddenly, the crazy dentist appeared on the club scene. He was rolling his cot in front of him, and there was a real-life man tied up on the cot. Sam Schmaltz!
Oh.
Drew's boss.
I know.
Oh, okay,
I remembered. I know, my memory is suspect, but
yes.
I will always remember Ben Stein.
It's been like half a year since we started recording the OP.
God, you're right.
The boss? What is he doing here?
He was on our side all along. Admit it, you hated all these rabbits he made you draw, and your hatred was like fuel to us all. But now, we don't need him anymore. We have many other people from all around the world to help us.
What do you mean? I lost it.
Well, it's alright. For one shining moment.
Just do what you've always wanted, Drew. Now you're one of us, and you need this final step to complete this. Shoot him, Drew!
What?
The cutscene ended, and now Dave was in control once again. There was a gun from the Wild West in Drew's inventory. Without hesitation, Dave took it out and used it on Fluffy.
Ha 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 ha! You're truly foolish if you think you can shoot a Shoggoth.
Oh. Was that in the lore?
I know. Dave tried several other options, but there seemed to be none. Reluctantly, he used the gun on Sam.
You know, you could just, close the game at this point if you don't want to shoot him.
Yeah, no, it was too hard. Drew put on a white cowboy hat, which was in the inventory as well, looked at himself in the mirror, adjusted his hat a bit, took out the gun, and pointed it at Sam. Gotta make sure I look nice before I shoot my boss.
Yeah, you gotta, yeah.
Suddenly, the game was interrupted by a strike of lightning, and the power in the whole house went off. Astonished, Dave looked outside and saw a fallen power line. Strangely, it calmed him.
What?
Just an accident. Must be a mere coincidence.
Okay.
He thought to himself. He even put on his coat and went outside to see what had happened. But when he was trying to open the door handle suddenly broke off in his hand.
Oh, spooky!
Frightened but still trying to remain calm, Dave took out his cell phone and dialed 911.
Hello, 911. I'm locked in my room again.
Excuse me? My name is David Mitchell. There's a fallen power line near my house, and the electricity is off. My address is... What he heard in response was this.
Time for some clicking.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Hi there, special friend! You've reached the Fluffy Fun Phone answering service. Using your touch cue phone, please choose from the following cuddly scrumptious options. Press red to hear a special message from me. Press yellow to hear my yummy fun jingle. Press blue to leave me a special message.
Are you spooked?
yeah, it's pretty spooky.
Voicemail! Oh!
I've gone back in time.
Almost fainting.
Wait, how? Almost fainting?
Almost faint. It was that... Weren't you spooked?
But...
Oh, I almost fainted, sorry. Dave hung up and called the police No, you tried that, Dave.
What? Well, I mean, you could call the police directly.
This time, the answer was the following.
Hello, this is the answering machine. Lugnut and Goggles and Feedback are out goofing off right now, but please leave a message and we won't call you back. If you are nefarious, then that was a joke.
I almost fainted again.
Is this really supposed to be spooky?
Dave's hands were shaking so hard that he dropped the cell phone and it crashed, but it didn't matter to him anymore, so yes, very spooky.
Okay, you're right, sorry. You know what? I need to...
You need a breather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid that I'm just trying to pretend I'm not, and it's not fair, Yeah. I've really got to give this story the respect it deserves.
I mean, what's more spooky to a socially awkward person like Dave clearly is than having to leave a voicemail?
I would prefer that over actually talking to a live person.
I mean, yes, but on the sliding scale of spooky situations, underneath actually talking to a real person is like having to leave a voicemail and formulate that voicemail.
I mean, the spooky part was having to make a phone call at all.
Well, that's like number one, having to make a phone call. Number two, talking to a real person. And number three, voicemail. Suddenly, he heard something resembling the noise of a party. And though it was against all logical sense, he went to see what it was.
Oh God, terrifying.
The sounds were coming from his kitchen, but the kitchen was empty.
Ah!
He listened carefully and realized that the noise was from his fridge. Fully understanding the absurdity of the situation.
His fridge had a party and didn't invite him.
Aww.
That's so sad.
Fully understanding the absurdity of the situation, he quietly sneaked to the fridge and suddenly opened it. What he saw made him completely drop his jaw, for it was neither his ordinary fridge with food and drinks, nor anything resembling a party. Instead, he saw a dark and frost-covered tunnel heading somewhere he couldn't see, and the party noise was coming from the tunnel.
Is that I guess parties are pretty scary. Like, you don't know anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you're right. This is just a story about an introvert trying to deal with social interaction.
Dave's current condition was beyond fear. He was now in the nothing-to-lose state. That's why he went into the hall and put on his winter hat, coat, and gloves, climbed inside the fridge, and went ahead. The tunnel was larger than expected. It must have been at least several hundred meters long, with several forks.
Okay.
By pure intuition, without following any explicit logic, Dave chose the right direction. He was too tired of being scared, so the only feeling guiding him now was the curiosity of an explorer.
Terrifying.
Startlingly, he saw a shimmering light in one of the paths. He followed it, though the noise was coming from the opposite direction, until he saw a metal door with a neon sign, Frank's Cryo Crypt. He turned the doorknob, and surprisingly, unlike the one at his own house, it budged.
The door budged?
The doorknob, yeah.
What?
It budged.
The door?
Yeah. It opened.
Is he trying to say he opened the door?
Yeah. It budged.
But
You've never... That's a term.
No, I mean, I've heard budged. It's just, that's a really weird way to say that.
It wouldn't budge.
But
it did budged.
But that's why it's... Nobody says that! Oh, I budged the door. The F?
This is spooky. He entered what seemed to be a medical lab with operation tables. It looked exactly like the ones from some horror movie, with one difference. Instead of blood, there were traces of a strange emerald green substance.
Somebody broke a glow stick!
Well, perhaps it was blood, just not human.
Ah!
He opened up one of the drawers in the walls, and suddenly, a strange, small, cartoony creature looking like a green zombie rabbit in a pink tie and a top hat jumped out. Dave recoiled in fright, but the creature seemed to be even more afraid than he was, for it quickly jumped outside of the lab. Only then Dave noticed that the room had another exit. Once again hopeful.
Hopeful for what?
I don't know.
Was he hopeful before?
Let's find that sweet party.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Once again hopeful, he hurried to the door almost as hastily as the creature did and looked outside. Yes, it was fresh air of the outside world. However, his happiness faded when he saw that it wasn't exactly the same world as the one he left. It was a dark, rainy street, and the first thing that he saw was a neon sign saying, CDs. Very far off, there were some psychedelic-colored hills with buildings that reminded him of Cutopian houses.
Is Dave in the game?
Oh, God. Dave looked at the ground and noticed a paperback that seemed to have been dropped by the creature. It was titled, Who Flushed Ziggy Puffer, or the official Toonstruck 2 hint book. He opened it to find the following text. Hello, player. What's your name? You have entered my game. Drink with Irish/Scottish cheese, and then make a snout sneeze. Play with masochistic cow. Get a suit for crow, I guess. Flush of fish and zany do, but it won't help you to. The only way to outside is finding all the keys I hide.
Poetry is really a dead art, isn't it?
Rhyming's hard. It was followed by a list of keys needed to locate. It included the sweet key, the nasty key, the silver key, the ruby key, the mystery key, the sludge key, the non-existent key, etc.
Okay, you're just making fun of us now.
The next pages included illustrations that looked like a maniac's version of Disney or Don Bluth's works. I feel like Don Bluth is already the maniac version of Disney. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Dave didn't remember anything from that point.
I don't feel like writing this part.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
Oh, man.
Anyways. Perhaps his journey in search of the keys could be a story for another time.
Listen, I wrote this. I'm not really feeling this story anymore. I just want to end it.
This is already taking too long.
I was really jazzed about it at the beginning, but...
writing is hard. for a story for another time, or even constitute a book or an adventure game on its own.
Or a creepypasta. Just kidding.
Haha.
Too much work.
But all he remembered was a loud ringing sound.
Ooh.
He woke up on the sofa in his living room and realized that the ringing came from the hallway. He ran to his door and let in his two pals, Gabe and Steve.
Oh, good.
They get names now.
Yay!
The latter was a nerdy-looking short guy with glasses. The former was pretty sporty, tall and muscular.
Ooh.
"Hi, Dave. How you feeling?" he asked.
Which one?
Sporty muscular.
Oh, okay.
I guess, would you want a muscular voice? "Hi, Dave. How are you feeling?"
Is that muscular?
Yeah, because it's like, he's like, "Ugh, yes, flexing."
Oh, okay. All time?
Yeah, all time, all day.
Ah. He sounds like a redneck.
Well, not bad, but I've just got up. You guys woke me from a really bad dream, he responded.
So why did you leave the con without telling us?
We just wanted to make sure everything is okay. Yesterday you looked really bad by the end of the evening.
What?
What? But I left a few hours before the end.
Oh.
I got a taxi and drove home. You must still be sleepy, dude. You were with us until the closing of the festival.
Just so everyone knows, Shaw's making sure to flex while she does this voice.
I need to get in character.
She's a method actor.
Yeah. You felt exhausted and almost sick. We even thought you ate something bad. What? Didn't you guys see that vagrant-looking man in the dark raincoat? He was wearing such a strange badge.
Yeah, that the badge was really what stuck out about him.
That was the weirdest part.
Yep.
Of course, Gabe didn't see him, and neither did Steve. This almost convinced Dave that it was all part of a dream. They chatted for a while, snacked on some colas and chips,
Okay.
and finally, Gabe and Steve left. This could have been the end of the story, but it wasn't.
Oh, God damn you.
Remember, Dave was almost convinced that everything was right, and he wanted to know for sure. He opened up his iPad and typed in Toonstruck 2. Again, there were screenshots he had seen hundreds of times, and interviews he already knew by heart. But this time, something else caught his attention. A really small link on one of the less-known adventure sites entitled Toonstruck, the dark side of the story.
Let's make the link really tiny so nobody clicks on it.
Yeah. It's just like size 5 font on this webpage.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. The link was dead, and he had to use a Wayback Machine to open the page. According to the article, the story of Toonstruck was one of the darkest and most mysterious pages of adventure gaming history. It all started with some guy whose name was still unknown, but it surely wasn't Drew Blanc, but who really was a genius artist and animator. Once he got into an argument with his boss, who didn't give a green light for his new show.
So he stabbed him.
Starting from this point, the man's mind started to shatter.
What?
And he began to confuse his toon worlds with reality. He killed his boss and went on the run through all the United States and Mexico. All of the United States.
His boss.
Living in cheap motels and rented rooms and traveling either by train or hitchhiking or on foot.
I really love that this was apparently just the snapping point.
Yeah.
Can I have some money to make a show? No.
Nah. I'll kill you! Oh, you motherfucker! He took his sketchbook with him and continued drawing all the while, living in a mixed world of reality and surreal. Surreality? I don't know. His drawings were accompanied by written notes, and it was clear from them that he had created a whole world with a lot of characters and locations.
Hey boss, I found this notebook. Should we make it into a game? Yes.
I found this notebook in a hobo camp.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Just what we were looking for.
Call Christopher Lloyd.
Some of them were based on places he had been to and people he had met. For instance, the Wild West location was surely inspired by Mexico, while the gloomy industrial districts of Malevolence could have been influenced by the ruins of Detroit. Fuck you, Detroit.
What?
At the same time, others were just a figment of his vivid imagination. It's still unknown whether he committed any more crimes during this period, but he was reported to having done strange things, such as sending his drawings and texts to non-existent addresses or leaving encrypted messages in his hotel rooms. At one hotel, he even used toothpaste to write a message on the mirror.
Not toothpaste.
That's the spookiest thing you could have used to write a message on the mirror with. Certain criminalists suggested that his paintings had their own code. Judging from the notes, he seemed to believe he was trying to save the world from destruction by some unknown evil forces. He spoke about worldwide conspiracies and other strange things. Eventually, he was caught, proved insane, and deemed a mental case. His further fate is still unknown. There are equal possibilities of him either being dead by now, still locked up in the loony bin, or living a quiet life in some hodunk town in Arizona. I believe it's Podunk.
Yeah.
However, the story was not over. A few years later, David Bishop, who worked at a Virgin subsidiary called Burst for a game named Trouble in Toonland. It would have been a children's adventure about a boy named Daniel with his Toon friend Gerald, saving the Toonland from a black and white villain, Ghastly Graham. Meanwhile, one of Virgin's executives saw this very sketchbook at an auction selling crime memorabilia.
I guess that's actually what did happen.
And became obsessed with it.
As you do.
He bought it at the auction and desired to make an adventure game out of it. He convinced David to make some minor changes to the script, making it more appropriate for an adult audience. In fact, the first game was testing the waters, being mostly sweet with just a few nasty details like a masochistic cow to test the audience's reaction.
Oh.
It included very little of this guy's original sketches and was heavily reworked, changing all the names. They expected to make up for the financial disaster with the second installment, which would have been much darker, including all the creepy things created by him. They didn't expect Christopher Lloyd to star in a game like that. That's why Drew Blanc was turned into a toon by the end of the first game.
What?
I guess they were like, we're never going to get Christopher Lloyd back for the sequel, so we gotta turn him into a toon.
I guess.
And then maybe just dub him with somebody else.
You, clearly.
Oh yeah, me.
This is Shaw's audition tape.
Mm-hmm. But this wasn't enough to avoid a scandal. While they actually did manage to complete the work on Toonstruck 2, some of the employees were strongly against its release because it would be a very cruel joke for anyone who has played the first game, and they were not ready to take the responsibility for the release of that. Finally, the release of the game was scrapped, and eventually both the game disc and
Just one?
and yeah,
Just one.
just the one.
It was just like they didn't have it on a computer anywhere.
No, just
On a
a
just on a
single
disc.
disc.
Okay.
Eventually, both the game disc and the sketchbook were lost. The official comment on this was the project being abandoned for financial reasons. They even took out a few screenshots from the most innocent parts of the game and put them up on the net. Everyone, except the most devoted fans, just like myself, until last night, Dave thought to himself, bought this, and the story was concluded. The article was written by Mark Bergman, who used to work for Burst during these years. He surely wasn't a big shot there, for Dave didn't find any mentions of him anywhere on the net. I hope this Mark Bergman isn't a real guy.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
But you're not important. But as he was about to give up, a title suddenly popped up. The disappearance of a former Virgin employee. Dave's heart skipped a beat when he opened it. Mark Bergman, age 36, was reported missing by his neighbors after he had driven away for a weekend and hadn't returned home for a week.
Ooh, spooks.
Mr. Bergman, who used to be an employee of Burst, a subsidiary of Virgin, was currently working as a programmer in a small IT company in his home city. The article said that Mr. Bergman's car was later found crashed in the middle of the Nevada desert without anybody inside, and the police had no idea how it had got there and what happened to it. The seat cushions were torn, apparently, by the claws of some beastly animal, but they didn't find any traces of blood.
This is why you don't feed the wildlife.
Mm-hmm. The only clue found at the scene of the crime was a small badge. The article included a photograph of it, and it looked exactly like the one worn by the strange man.
Oh my god!
But it was colored in the shades of green and had the word gherkin printed on it.
Not gherkin.
This piece of news was dated 25th May 2004, about 3 weeks after the publication of Bergman's article. As Dave read this, he heard someone laugh behind him. It was the strange man who sold him the game disc, but now he recognized that laugh.
Oh god.
The laugh of a demented clown who tortured balloon animals. Spike!
I mean,
The end.
How am I gonna sleep tonight?
Yeah.
Like, too spooky.
Too spoopy for me.
Oh my god.
That's the end of the Toonstruck 2 Creepypasta.
Terrifying. Good.
What did you think of that?
Masterpiece.
Yes. It's kind of cute how they used, like, actual, like, bits of, like, what we know about Toonstruck 2.
Kind of.
But it's also, like, kind of, like, a big lame.
Yeah, I mean...
I kind of...
it was like, okay, I'll see where this is Oh, Shoggoths. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that didn't go anywhere. I wanted to see more weird shit in the Toonstruck world with
I know.
Drew and, like...
It's like, it was all... What it felt like is they were like, oh, I really wish Toonstruck 2 would come out. I'll write what I think it would be. Oh, no one's gonna want to see this. I'll make it into a creepypasta.
Oh god, this is too long. I'm not gonna write this whole middle part with finding the keys. I'm just gonna jump ahead.
Yeah. It was kind of like... I don't know.
Well, I enjoyed it, at least, from a humorous standpoint.
I enjoyed it in the same way that I enjoyed Nightcry.
But anyways, that's gonna be it for the bonus stuff for the Toonstruck LP. Thank you guys for joining us.
I hope that we haven't turned you off from all of
this.
Yeah, too spooky.
The internet.
Yes.
Oh god.